Good evening, people. Good evening. How y'all doing? We're getting straight into it. Tiffany, it don't matter where she is. It's some stuff going on with her name. I don't know how much power she got in Thorton Township. I thought she was just the supervisor. She's not the mayor. She's the supervisor. I don't know what that job entails, but she firing people. This about to do an interview. Well, Hannibal is Hungry did an interview with the lady that said she was a former employee, and she's explaining why she's suing her. That's not Dodson now. That's Thornton Township. No matter where she goes, lawsuits follow. She going to jail soon. Then I just heard a news story where they trying to hire Lori Lightfoot to do an investigation. I don't even know what I guess they need the city to vote because they want the feds to come in. Is they gonna cost them money? Why don't y'all just send a damn email to the feds? Why y'all voting on it? Just send an email to the feds with y'all concerns. They have to legally, if it sounds like some laws being broke, they legally got to look into it. Fuck y'all. Because I've been noticing that they voted at a meeting, as she called it, a secret squirrel meeting. They voted to have the feds look in, but then she came and vetoed it. So I'm guessing they saying they need some money for the feds to come look into it, which is crazy. But whatever, this is always some shit going on with this lady. Without further ado, let me share his video too. He's been doing a lot of stuff on Dawkins. Let me make sure I share that out. He did this interview a day ago. We about to listen to this lady and see what she had to say. See if we get some new things about Tiffany. Where'd the video go? Okay, bam. Why is it all the way up there?
Position and building.
Oh. All the way up there.
They just stopped paying me. They just stopped. I begged, I texted, I called, I emailed. I think anybody who works for a paycheck understands how important it is to get it. Absolutely. And after the third check was missed, unfortunately, I had a drop dead, massive heart attack from the stress. The stories I have heard are shocking, but they're all...
That's dramatic. You had a drop dead heart attack, but you were alive and you were talking, so it wasn't drop dead. You just had a massive heart attack.
So very unfortunate, because at the end of the day, the people that are going to most suffer from that are the residents.
Today, we have the pleasure to interview Sandra Tracy. She played an important role in establishing the HR department at Thornton Township. Right from the start, Sandra was instrumental in shaping the dynamics of employee relations and HR practices within the township. Sandra's journey took a significant turn with her involvement with Tiffany Henyard, the township supervisor, resulting in an impending lawsuit. This highlights the impact of leadership on both individuals and the community at large. In this interview, we talk about Sandra's experiences and her insights and the repercussions of bad leadership. Let's get into it. Hello, Sandra. How are you doing this evening?
You know, I'm doing well, and I'm really happy to have the opportunity to meet with you.
I'm happy that you took the chance to share us your story. This story has become bigger and bigger. I was just looking at a comment from someone from the Netherlands who is watching this. So it is a lot of people who are interested in this story and obviously your story. So I guess right off the bat, can you tell us about your background and how you end up working at the Thornton Township?
Yes, my background, I've been doing human resources for many years, and my background is in corporate America. I have worked for huge corporations all the way to startups. So this was really my first opportunity to work with a public sector client. And it's been a very good experience for most of the time. But my background is really pretty hardcore human resources.
And what was your initial goals or thoughts when you started building the HR department there?
Well, let me talk about it from this perspective. The former supervisor actually approached me about of taking the position and building that function. And so I decided that I wanted to do it. And it's been a very, very good experience. I had an opportunity to meet a lot of people. But I think for me, the reason that I want to talk about this is that my headline is that leadership matters. And you can have leadership in any kind of setting. It can be a workplace, it can be a church, it could be a community organization, it could be a movement, Martin Luther King. It could be many things. But leadership is really important because sometimes we strike out and we end up with malignant leadership. Jim Jones was a leader, but he was a malignant leader. For that matter, Charles Manson was a leader, but he was a malignant leader. And so I think it's really important to look at this whole situation from the perspective of leadership and what is it that makes it important and how do you actually function and have a situation turn out well relative to leadership. And I think, there's a lot of drama going on now. A lot of it is very salacious. I get all of that. But I think the thing that for me is really important is that the consequences of leadership matter. If you have really excellent leadership, you can get some really outstanding outcomes, and it's because you had good leadership. The opposite is true. And my real concern now is not so much what happened to me. And what happened to me is unfortunate. It's a reflection of leadership that was inadequate. But I think for me, because I was in the human resources lane, I always worried very much about the employees. Because at the end of the day, this is a service organization. The employees are what make it or break it. And the fact of the matter is that it is the case that since the new supervisor came on board, from that day, actually all the way to this one, employees have been calling me. They call me for help. They call me for advice. Sometimes they're calling me just for moral support because it has the culture of the workplace has changed dramatically. And I am a real believer that how employees are treated by the organization they're working for is how they treat the customers. So I'm concerned for a lot of reasons because I think that the community and the organization that I was affiliated with, which is the Township, is not a municipality. I like to describe it as a pretty large social service agency. And I think the mission...
I think all fast food restaurants should adopt Chick-fil-A's policies and procedures. I've never had a complaint at Chick-fil-A, ever. I've been eating Chick-fil-A since 89. I ain't never had no problem.
Is being forgotten now. And that's the thing that is most important. When employees call me and they tell me about the toxicity of the culture now, when they tell me how afraid they are about potentially being fired, that's not a workplace that is going to be successful for its clients, because at the end of the day, this is a public sector organization. This is not about who has the top title. This is about whether or not tax dollars are being spent well. That's what I think.
What are the, as you said, some employees are still reaching out. I guess you don't have to go into details, but what are those major challenges that they're facing? And also what you faced when the appointment of Tiffany Henyard as the supervisor? Because as you said, it's a public sector position. You're there to provide services for others.
Well, I think the thing that is, I'm not going to say it's missing because I understand that the focus is in a different place, but these are people who are trying to live their lives and trying to get through their lives successfully. And so let me give you a couple examples. There were a few people who were very close to being eligible for a full pension. They were dealing with some personal situations. For example, one employee who had worked there for 25 years was dealing with a situation where her dad passed away and her mom needed care. And she was trying to accommodate that priority while still doing her job, but wanting to do it for only a couple of more months until she was eligible for a pension and retirement. Why not honor that? It was always my approach with the employees that while we had organization-wide policies and so forth, there were personal situations that came up that people needed help, and it was my intention to help them. And because of the transition being so abrupt, some things happened that were unfortunate. For example, we had a housing program, it was a great program, where employees who satisfied certain conditions in terms of their tenure and so forth could actually get help from the township with a down payment on their first home. I sat on the steering committee of the Southland Economic Development Corporation, which was doing a community-wide initiative to help large employers help employees get adequate housing. So it was a whole program. And during the transition, there were a couple of people that were right in the middle of purchasing a home. Once the new administration came into place, that all went away and that fell apart. Imagine you are in the process of purchasing your first home, you're excited, it's going to happen, you have all of your ducks in a row, and all of a sudden it completely falls apart and you have no reason for it. I am a real firm believer that when people go to work, as they have to go to work to feed their families, the way that they're being treated in the workplace is the way that they're going to treat the clients that they come into contact with. And the stories I have heard are shocking, but they're also very unfortunate because at the end of the day, the people that are going to most suffer from that are the residents. And that's not something that you want to have happen. Let me give you an example of something. I had a neighbor, an elderly man, who no longer drives, and he wanted to find out if he could get a ride from the township that has a transportation service. So I gave him the phone number to call, and he called. He was told that in order to get a ride, he needed to call Uber.
Damn.
And perhaps in 2 weeks.
It sound cold-blooded, but don't they got like the insurance and stuff cover transportation? Why is he going to the city to ask for transportation then? The city charge, if you have to use, like at Memphis, we got Meta. They got their regular bus that's $1.50 or whatever, and then they got the stuff for the handicapped people that need more assistance, a bit air that don't want to be bothered. Call Meta Plus. They pay whatever the fuck they pay. Just come out of pocket. I don't know about that one. I don't know if I feel bad if they said catch an Uber. The city ain't into giving. They can't give everybody rides. They just can't. They cannot.
He could get an appointment for a ride. These are real people, patient service. So I gave him the phone.
And even with these riding things on insurance, you have to get them like 72 hours advance and shit. They ain't going. The only way they'll do it same day, it got to be an emergency. They'll damn near tell you if it's an emergency like that, you need to call the ambulance. people, yeah, they be serious about their scheduling.
Number to call, and he called. He was told that in order to get a ride, he needed to call Uber. And perhaps in 2 weeks, he could get an appointment for a ride. These are real people experiencing real situations. It's not fair.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
They gave him a real answer. Hey, you can get there for sure if you call Uber, but we ain't gonna be able to do it today. But we can make you an appointment. You know, we can, but it ain't gonna be for today, and you ain't got no appointment that day. But if you really, really need to make it, it sucks, but that's the real world sometimes.
But did she ever?
Hey, why you ain't gonna take a Miss Tracy? I'm just saying, Miss Tracy. Why you ain't take her?
Give an official statement on why she dismantled this department and why she was doing the things that she was doing?
No. That's so far from the truth until it's ludicrous to talk about it. My case was that it was just coincidental that I went on an FMLA leave for planned surgery. I had a knee replacement, and it was the exact same day that she was selected to be in the position. Okay. I had my surgery. It turned out great. I wrote her an email, which I thought was a very respectful and professional email, congratulating her on her appointment, telling her who I was and what I did for the township, and offering my assistance in any way that she would need. I thought that was appropriate to do. But it is the case that within a couple of weeks, the HR department was just dismantled. There were actually things going on, but it was dismantled. Without any conversation, without any question, nothing. It was just dismantled. And so the question becomes, what happens when people have something like that sort of snatched away from them? What do you do? Now, my situation was really different because, like I said, I was on an FMLA leave and so forth and so on. When it was time for me to come back, it became a fiasco. It became a fiasco to the point, and everyone has seen the newspaper article, but they just stopped paying me. They just stopped. I begged, I texted, I called, I emailed, I begged. It is the case, and those who know me know that I am the sole support of a husband who has been very ill for the last several years. He had just had, prior to this, emergency major abdominal surgery. So I really needed my check. And I begged, and I begged, and I begged. And after the third check was missed, I think anybody who works for a paycheck understands how important it is to get it. Absolutely. And after the third check was missed, unfortunately, I had a drop dead, massive heart attack from the stress. Thankfully, I didn't die. But I'm just one story. There was an employee who was fired for a ridiculous reason, had been there for 10 years, and in 2 weeks after he was fired, his wife passed away. This is not a good look for this organization or the community, because what's happening now with all of the drama, it is in fact damaging the area, not just the village of Dalton, but the area for the future. How many people do you think are going to want to move to this area and buy property in this area?
Not a lot.
Property values are dropping like mad right now because this story has become national, and now people know what's going on. And it's kind of like, wow, we don't want to do this. I think it's important that we don't lose sight of the fact that actions are being taken that are harming people. I don't understand the point of the intentional cruelty. I don't understand the point of the disrespect. You know, your language and your tone and how you talk to people is really important. The screaming and all of that, it's crazy. Listen, I am absolutely offended by the notion that the attack is because she's Black. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know about the civil rights movement. I was in it. And the fact that that is being used right now, it's an...
And she used the fact that she's a single mom, but she won't tell us how she became a single mom. Now, you can use that if he died or something like that. He went, yeah, pretty much that'd be the only thing. Because if you say the nigga went to jail for stealing drugs or some shit, or he just left you, he ain't shit baby daddy, that goes to your choice. That's who you chose to procreate with. But yeah, she throws that up a lot. They just attacking me because I'm Black and I'm a woman and I'm a single parent and I'm the first to do it. That's why they hating on me. She say that every single time now. I see her ass stop going on interviews after the Roland Martin job. That was her first and last. She learned the lesson.
Embarrassment, and it's really sad because it's not a reflection of what people are really qualified and experienced to do. And we don't have that now. I'm very much concerned that the employees that are still in place are conflicted, because it's very much the case that if you don't go along to get along, you're subject to be fired. My case is that I have told every employer I have ever had, I do not do illegal. If you need to do something illegal, you need to get someone else to participate in that with you, because I don't do illegal. And, you know, it's the case, and I never reveal this, but when I got locked out of all of the one day.
Oh, come on with the tea, Auntie. She finna spill it. She said she done seen some shit she wasn't supposed to see. I ain't with Snow. WikiLeaks.
Stuff that was going on. And, you know, it is what it is. But I think right now the concern that I have is for the residents. Because many of our residents who are elderly, they don't necessarily understand what's happening. For example, I have an elderly relative that actually has met with the assessor of the township relative to her primary home and residence. But I received a correspondence the other day from the township, and the assessor's name is not even on the letterhead. Is she no longer there? This seems so petty. It's like 10th grade. We're going to take her name off because we're mad.
Yeah.
I want people to recognize that this is affecting people individually in their lives. And it needs to stop, because ultimately the consequences of what is happening will endure for years and maybe decades.
I remember you talking to me on the phone before we had a conversation about anyone that criticized her or maybe be considered dissent, that she does not want to deal with that at all. And it looks like what you're saying is anyone that has some morals and some integrity, have a spine to say what I'm willing to do or not do, if that's happening, the supervisor Henyard does not want you there and will just push you away. Is that just, that's what it is? And why you didn't let go? Was it because you didn't play ball with her?
Right. That's true. And that is what it is. I'm a big girl. I've been working a long time, but here's the problem. In 2020, when we were in the height of COVID, I was the COVID manager. I fought for these people. I fought for their lives, and I fought for their checks because I understood how much they needed them. And so you have people who are in situations now, and they need their paycheck. I get it. And they're compromised. Their integrity is compromised. That's not fair, and it's not admirable. And it's something that will haunt those people for a long time in their careers. Because, you know, when you know what's wrong and right and you do the wrong thing in order to get money, that kind of lives with you. You don't forget about that. And that's my concern, is that people are trying really hard to just live their lives and take care of their families. And if they're asked to do something that's just not appropriate, it's a question they have to answer for themselves. Am I willing to lose my job if I say no? It's a tough question.
Right, because like I said, we all have, you need to eat, you need a roof over your head, you have to pay bills. You know, your children may not understand what's going on, but yet you still have to provide for them. But I guess looking back, is there anything you wish you could have done differently?
Absolutely.
Or this position is going to happen? Oh, let us know. What would you think we do differently?
It is the case, and I assume that you know this, but it is the case that the previous supervisor died suddenly. Mm-hmm. The previous supervisor had been in place for many, many years. And the employee population was devastated by his death because he was a person of employees. We had some all-employee meetings between the time he passed and the time the new supervisor was put in place to just inform people about what's going on. People need to know what's happening. We should have started there. We should have started with all-employee meetings, new day.
Hello, truth.
This is how we're going to proceed. It would have been a wonderful...
You making my cookies?
Opportunity. If the new administration had taken the time to sit with each individual department, get to know the work, get to know the people, get to know the challenges, get to know what works and what doesn't. That's an education process. But if you come into an organization and you just start firing people, I understand, you know, this is a situation, it's like any other political situation. You have the right to bring in your own team. I get that.
Right.
The problem that I have is that when you do that, it's really important to make certain that you aren't having any kind of negative impact on services. If you get rid of somebody who's been doing something for 10 years and it's worked, you get rid of them and you get a new person in. Do they get trained? Do they know what the job is? Do they know what the expectation is? It's tough to hear stories about what's not happening.
In terms of her hiring practices, seems like it's more about personal loyalty and being familiar with the person rather than skills, experience. So it don't seem like a meritocracy is something that he's either has understanding or doesn't care about. But when, like you said, hiring people with no experience, no skills to help other people, you're just hurting everybody involved. So I'm wondering, like, how it seems like that's happening often, the pattern of behavior that she's hiring people experience.
See, absolutely. You see, the first priority is her learning what her job is. You go into a job, it's your first time doing this job. The most important thing for you to do is to learn and understand what that job is, not what you want it to be. And I think, that didn't happen the way it probably should have.
Yeah.
And so it's a trickle-down ripple effect. And, I think that there is a need to show more respect of the employees, respect of the residents. Look, as everybody has heard in all of the news reports, this is not some wealthy community where we have a bunch of trust fund babies growing up. That's not what this is. And so I think it's really important that we are not only respectful of how tax dollars are utilized, but also respectful about how people are interacted with. One of the things in my role as human resources that is just astonishing and I'm very sad about, of those 138 people she dismissed since she's been there, not one of them got due process. Not one. It's okay if you want to replace people. That's okay. I even wrote her an email and said, you know what? If you want someone else, fine. Let's work it out so that the employees don't suffer. But if you're constantly treating people with disrespect, when people call me and they talk to me, what I'm hearing is they don't care anything about me. I'm scared to death. That's what I hear constantly. That's not a good workplace. One of the things that the former supervisor did, and anybody who knew him will tell you, he was not a perfect man. However, what he was a public servant. Let me tell you a little story. One of the things that the township does is during the holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we pass out food boxes with turkeys in them. It's a wonderful thing. One of the residents called up to the township one Friday night and he said, I didn't get my box. What am I going to do? He ended up talking to the supervisor, the former one.
Right.
And he said, what is your address? He got the man's address. He had the workers bring the box to him. He drove the box to the man's house himself. And when he took the box to the man's door and put it in his home, he then cooked the turkey for a servant. Public servant. That is not to say these were perfect people. There are no perfect people. But people, their roles took them serious. Were satisfied. I had a young man who worked in our pantry who had a challenged background in his life. But he was trying to be better. And one of the things that he used to say to me all the time with much pride, I'm feeding people. Do you know how that makes me feel? And so all I'm saying is that The employees are employed to provide the services to the taxpayers, the ones that provide the money that makes payroll. And they need to be taken care of. They need to be taken care of with some kindness. But just my opinion.
Well, speaking about the past, the former township supervisor, I don't know if you saw Henyard in the last meeting throwing out accusations. Seemed like she was saying certain things about the former administration. I wonder if you heard that.
I did.
Your thoughts?
She was talking about Dalton, though.
It's appalling. And the reason that I think it's appalling is this. Are we in the 10th grade? You know, it's like, well, Johnny did it. If Johnny did it, then I shouldn't be in trouble. Are we in the 10th grade? Was that perfect? Not a perfect man. Irrespective of whether or not something was done wrong or not, that man is dead and buried. We must move forward. And the fact of the matter is, we have to take responsibility as adults for this situation. We have to do what we need to do. And one of the things that I think now is missed, I see all YouTube videos and all of that. I see people calling for her to resign. I see that. There is one thing that needs to happen, in addition to a lot of other things, but one thing, and it is this. She needs to say, I'm sorry. We've all made mistakes. We have all made mistakes. Not one of us is perfect.
That's really a simple fix, and most people will forgive her. But she's not gonna do it. She's not gonna do it.
There are things that have hurt people and the township. Just say, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to do better. That's not going to ever happen, ever.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you think she's capable of apologizing?
No, I don't. You know, one of the things that I do in human resources, I deal with employee relations. And, you know, they can get pretty sticky and hairy and people get up in their feelings and so forth. And one of the things that I always say when I'm in a situation like that, I challenge every person in the room. What part did you play in making this situation unsuccessful? What part did you play? Because everybody has. Look, this situation has spiraled to the point of it being a national story. It's an embarrassment. It really is. And it needs to be resolved. You've probably heard that saying of, when you're in a hole, stop digging.
Yes.
When you're in a hole, stop digging.
Yeah.
Then you can figure out how to get out of the hole. But don't keep digging. And I feel like that's what's happening. If this situation isn't resolved soon, the township will end up going away. I don't know if you're aware that for some years, there was some legislative impetus to abolish township government. It's a political move. that will be, if that were to happen, it would really hurt the township, but it could very well happen because those who are behind that movement can easily point to, well, look at this and look at that and look at this and look how bad this is. It needs to be ended and closed. That would be a shame. So I think it's really important that people try to think beyond just their own personal situation and their personal wants and, their personal how great thou art, and try and think a little bit about the entire township and, more importantly, the children. See, we're not going to be in these positions forever. I used to try and talk to the young people at the township to tell them, listen, you're up next. You need to prepare yourself for leadership because you're up next. We should be showing these young people the correct way to operate. That meeting last night was a disgrace. It was a disgrace because it showed complete chaos in the village. That's not going to help any homeowner who's looking to sell their home right now in that village. It's not. Mm-hmm. So here we are. And I just think that it's important that we try to elevate the element of respect. Let's try and respect each other. Respect each other in our language. Respect each other in our accusation. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. Just be kind. There's no reason not to be kind. Situations, the cruelty has been intentional. Why? Why would you be intentionally cruel to someone?
Because she's the man.
I don't get that.
What are your hopes for the future of the township and its employees? And finally, what message do you want to share with other public servants out there who are facing similar challenges in their workplace? Because it's interesting dealing with this story, and I see a lot of stories in small, local governments of similar behavior. Maybe not to the magnitude of what we're dealing with here with Henyard, but very similar in terms of there's corruption, there's a lot of intimidation. But yeah, firstly, what's your future for the hope of the township and its employees? And will you share that message you share with other people who are kind of in a similar situation in their workplaces?
Well, my very first message, and it's just what it is and who I am, respect yourself and be honest. Sometimes when you're in a situation and you're honest, you might get some blowback from that, and that's okay. Be honest so that you can respect yourself and so that your children can respect you. My hope for this area and the township and the village is that we get past this episode. Are you aware that Illinois has more politicians who have gone to prison than any other state in the union? I pulled a report once. It was astonishing. So politicians going to jail for bad behavior is very unfortunately often happens in Illinois. And my hope is that we get past this episode and that we learn something from it in terms of how we need to work together and pull together and be honest. Most of the time, many times, not all the time, but many times, you'll see these situations with politicians where they get into trouble for some money misbehavior. And that's bad, and that shouldn't happen. But sometimes it's not that. We had a governor that went to prison for trying to sell a Senate seat.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
Yes.
And so I think that this is going to require an effort in the community to pull like-minded people together to work towards where we need to go and where we need to be. And quite frankly, we don't know what that looks like from a financial standpoint, because until those records are revealed, we don't know how much we're in the hole. We don't know.
Yeah.
Horrible situation.
Hopefully we get to the bottom of that situation. And this situation, like I said, this episode ends. I wish it ends soon. Because it's, like I said, I think use that word. I think that's very apropos. One more question. I should have asked this first.
My health is good, and it's kind of, but people who know me have said, like, when I didn't tell that many people I had a heart attack, but very healthy person. And I just keep going. I'm like the Energizer. So I'm in a good place. That's not good. And, I'm happy that I'm doing well, but I also am mindful of just five minutes later, he would have been pronouncing me. So, lessons learned. I mean, I didn't have the ability to really do anything about that situation. What sent me over the edge was that they just stopped paying me and wouldn't even talk to me. It was just like, we're just ignoring you. Go away. I couldn't collect unemployment because I wasn't unemployed. So it was really bad. But yeah. I survived, and I am really doing well now. And quite frankly, am hoping that I can participate with the community in recovering from this episode. Because there is going to need to be a recovery. Damage has been done. And we can talk about all of the parties and balloons and ribbons and so forth and so on. That's not where people live. People live where they need to pay their mortgage or their rent. They need to buy groceries. They need to have their children in school. That's where people live. And this is not helping that. It's not helping it at all.
Well, I hope that this situation gets resolved fast. May not be that way, but I definitely believe that they need you to be there to help with that recovery. I think, like you said, that word recovery, when something massive happens, like a national disaster or some kind of a tornado, right? That you need people who can help build things together, like not just structures, but the minds and the body of the citizens, because like the mind and body connection is so important. When things go wrong, it affects your entire body. So I really appreciate this conversation. I hope that you be able to come back on maybe a little later on, just because I've learned a lot about HR. To be honest, I think if you go check out some memes on Instagram, I don't think human resources is something that most people take seriously sometimes. Probably because
that is absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. And it's, being an HR practitioner is a little offensive to me. I mean, the HR function was handed over to someone that doesn't know how to spell human resources, doesn't know nothing about it. Nothing. I mean, really not anything. And that's painful to me because I did so frequently about things that I help individual people with. People had situations. For example, let me tell you, we had a daycare program where people got some subsidy for daycare. Daycare is a very expensive thing if you have children.
Yes.
Very expensive. And so I had an employee who wanted to participate. He had a son. It is the case that his son is disabled. So he had to have a special place to go. I worked with him on that, and we found that place for that child. And that child is doing great. And guess what? So is their parent, because they're not worried about that child now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to help people. People are struggling with all kinds of things, and you have to help people, because when they come to work, they really do need to work and contribute. And if they are overwhelmed by what's happening in their personal lives, it's not a good outcome. When I told you that I managed COVID, there was a time when the governor shut the state down because of COVID. And I knew that there was a possibility that these people would not be getting paid. And I knew what that would mean to them. And I did something that I never do. And I begged the supervisor at that time. I begged him for 2 weeks. I begged him, please pay these people. Please, the money is in the bank. Please pay them. They're struggling. I had a manager that I spoke with about this because I was trying to get some more support for this ask. And I said, my God, suppose there's a single parent and they can't pay their rent. What are they going to do? And she said, oh, well. No. Look, I'm going to send you a copy of the mission statement for the township. It's people working with people. You have to care. I had a boss once, and I loved him dearly. But he used to tickle me because when we were talking about challenging situations and challenging work, he would say, you have to give a damn. You just have to give a damn.
Yeah.
And that's true. You have to give a damn. Yeah.
I hope that, we can get that back again. At least. Yes. Because this is one extreme to the next. I think getting back to that, and I really hope that does happen for, that township and that village. So, Sandra Tracy, I truly appreciate you giving me your time. I've learned a lot. I've learned a whole lot. So I really appreciate talking to you.
That's it, y'all. Short and sweet. We in and out. She just told a lot of stories.
Who was that giving that interview?
I was coming for the tea. The former HR lady of Thorton Township.
Okay.
They got fired while she was on FMLA leave.
Wow. That's against the law.
Yeah, that's why she's suing. Tiffany just got problems everywhere she go.
How much longer she got?
Well, the next election is in 2025. So a year. Unless she get locked up before then.
She might.
She got the role. I think so. She got to be doing something illegal. Otherwise, she wouldn't be scared to show what the money being spent on. She wouldn't be scared to show it. We're doing it illegal. She already did something illegal by signing documents when it clearly says two people. You have to have both signatures on there for all purchases for the city. And she just do what she want to do. Like, fuck this shit, I'm signing it by myself. Truck. Yeah, I don't know if that's illegal. You got, if they statute, they bylaws and things, it has to be against the law to do it. to go against it? Is it at least fraud or something? Theft by fraud? What the fuck? It got to be something. She can't just do what the fuck she want to do without punishment. I don't know, y'all. I think she going to jail. When? Don't know. But they gonna be there watching, throwing a parade. B. Nicole don't take the bait. They're like, right. Yeah, I didn't take the bait. Because earlier, the funniest shit in the world happened. I had to type her name in to get to her video so I could tag her and all of that. And a whole bunch of, the person that I blacked out videos came up. I'm like, what the fuck? The first thing I see is saying me and B. I was like, oh, she wants attention bad. I ain't getting it to her. Mm-hmm. I ain't getting. I'm good. You're blacked out, ma'am. You're blacked out. Do what you do. You've been doing it anyway. I don't care. I don't care. I just only reason that happened to. I'm not even mentioning it. Notice I ain't mentioning your title, your name, or nothing. That just it. It's funny. You popped up instead of her when I'm looking for her channel. That was funny to me. I said, boy, this nigga here just whatever. Have fun. To the next episode, man. We F.
Love y'all. Bye-bye.
So cold, but I'm so hot.
Dope boys. With them now.
The game so cold, but I'm so hot. Same old shit, still on the block. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. The game so cold, but I'm so hot. Same old shit, still on the block. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Down 8 gram, headed straight to the block. Pirates, this water water till it's hot. Listen double up, turn a little to a lot. Right hand on the cell phone, take an order. Left hand 360, motor to a lot. Blue holler tips, got switches on the dot. State game, true sippers can't be stopped. Laughing at you haters while I'm thumbing through the paper. Says long live to the bottom, won't you meet me at the top? The nigga ain't shit, yeah, get that a lot. Won't be deterred and I won't be stopped. Shaq D's the number one, I post up on the block. 24/7 cause the hustle don't stop. 31 flavor, take an order like a waiter. I be selling more gas than a local truck stop. 1,200 strong for a pound to the top. Got me shining, I'm a star. Ask about me, I am legend. They gon' tell you who we are. Fuck these niggas, fuck these bitches. Get money, all I know. No love for these bitches. Never saving these hoes. The game so cold, but I'm so hot. Same old shit, still on the block. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. The game so cold, but I'm so hot. Same old shit, still on the block. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not.
When I'm thinking about the past, yeah, gon' get some knots, gang, we at the spot. If we ever was short, then it's back to the block, you probably get shot. Every day the sudden change, we getting money, that's what thing is never gonna stop. Real dope boys do what it takes, playing high stakes, living to die. Do your time, keep it quiet, no matter who you are, don't get what you got. Stack it up, that's the bond to stay fresh. Oh, they think that you're not. Take a roll with a hoe, they gon' let you go. Somebody done said you ain't hot. Just invest in yourself, don't worry about nobody else. There ain't no handout. If you say the same, put it on change. Let them see you ain't tied down. Got a couple rings, did a lot of things. I ain't really gon' talk about it. Give me a trade, get your bitch to go. She gon' show up and show out. So don't ask me what a dope at, cause you already around.
The game so cold, but I'm so hot. Same old shit, still on the block. Same young nigga came up in the trap. I'm dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Dope boy, fresh with dope boy not. Same